We are live.
I think
All right, sports update. Adrian Reid was good.
Was good.
Back in the mix, back in the mix. So I wanted to lead off with the Pistons. Pistons started their season. We 4 games in, 0-4, no wins yet. Yeah, it hasn't been looking good. It's looking like the same thing. Another year, the same stuff. You give Tobias Harris 2 years, $52 million. Be the second option next to Cade. He's been coming up short. It looks like a lot of the same with this team. Cade with no help. So Pistons 0-4 right now. Adrian, where you at with the Pistons?
I said I was going to give it 10 games to kind of really get a microcosm of what's really going on. But I know you two have really been on the Tobias thing. I think what is he averaging? 9 points a game, I believe, right now.
10, I think is well.
Yeah,
It's probably
he's been
9 after yesterday.
He's been terrible. Him and Beef Stew, my main two guys. Beef Stew has been awful out there. He can't guard his soul. He's undersized. I mean, he plays hard, but that's not getting us anywhere. I don't think Cade and Ivy can play together. I'm almost at that point where I'm ready to finally admit that I like Jaden Ivey's look better. Jalen Duran's good, but we don't have enough spacing to shoot the ball. Especially we thought Tobias was going to come in and was supposed to be the biggest difference maker, but he has not been great. Like I told Raaj before we went on live, Cade with these turnovers, man. Turnovers are ridiculous. You know he's on pace to break the single season all-time record for turnovers in the season right now. We know James Harden set that, but I'm about like a little over 450. Cade's on pace for like 470 plus right now. It's not good. They haven't been good. They've actually been in all the games they played this year within the lead or within striking distance. These turnovers are just crucial going into the fourth quarter, man. I like what JB's doing, but right now it just kind of looks like the same old Pistons. And like I said, I'll give it 6 more games to really give a sample size of what I've seen. Been very, very, very disappointing. It looks like they're going to be bottom 3, maybe if not the worst team in the league again right now. So I'm looking at if it doesn't get any better, you're going to have to package a deal to do something to get some of these to change his roster around because you already paid Cade, so now you really have to help him out.
Sorry, this ESPN thing broke, but I guess it was like almost an hour ago that they requested a warrant for JMO. Sorry. That was like an hour ago, so I don't know if you guys saw that. Sorry. We'll get to that later. Yeah, I think it's it does suck that Cade has the turnovers. It might be him trying to force plays to Tobias and other players, I think. But I'm not going to blame it on any of that, and I'm not going to blame any of it really on Cade because I think that he's the only one that's really able to do anything on this team as of right now. I think that when you pay a guy like Tobias Harris $52 million and he comes out, and again, we didn't ask him to average 22 points a game, 23 points a game. Heck, we didn't have to average 19 points a game. If he could do, 18 points a game like he did or 17 points a game like he did for the 76ers, I'm sure people would be a little bit more happy. But as of right now, I think it's 9 or 10 we were just talking about. It's not what you signed. It's not what you brought him here for. With the way that he was kind of perceived that he was, ready to turn over a new leaf and be happy to be back in Detroit with all the stories that he had. You thought he'd be playing better than this. But when you have a guy that comes out and makes this much money and he's averaging, he's getting 9 points, 6 points. He had 6 points going into the fourth quarter and he's played 28 plus minutes. Like it just never, you're never gonna win a game like that. Duran, granted, he gets you the defensive rebound or offensive and defensive rebounds, which probably helps for some of your point scoring. But when he only gives you 10 points, when you have 2 guys on the floor that combine for 16 to 18 points, that's never great because the other team is going to have one guy that has that. The Ivy thing, I'm not ready to sell Ivy yet because he's looked like he's improved. His shooting's looked like it's improved. They're really using him to drive to the basket a little bit more than they have before. He's a little bit more confident. I like the Tim Hardaway signing. You didn't bring him in thinking he was going to be, a major point scorer, but he just had 20 the other night. And, he's reliant in threes. I like Tim Hardaway being here, to be honest with you. I think he's the best offseason signing so far that they did. So, yeah, like Adrian said, I'm still willing to give it 10 games. If you're 0-10, to start the season, that's not great. And I think then you push the emergency button. I'm still not pushing the emergency button on Trajan Langdon or Bickerstaff, but I'm putting it on this team because, Langdon's really only put this team together because it's all he could get. He can't get anybody else. You have to consider trading Cade because he'd be your biggest asset. As much as that hurts me to say, he's your biggest trade asset. Maybe Ivy, but you could keep Ivy. If you're able to find a suitor for Cade. But yeah, if you win 5 or 6 games by the time this trade deadline comes around, and the trade deadline's in what, like January or something, right? February, isn't the trade deadline like?
It's usually right after the All-Star break, so middle of February.
Yeah. Okay.
There.
Yeah. So if you come to the All-Star break and and you've only won 5 to 10 games come All-Star break time, that's not great, and you have to consider trading Cade at that point. But right now, we just got to hope that Harris can kind of turn things around. But I don't know. They just have not looked good. And the bench isn't really helping much either. There's not anybody that's coming off the bench that can really. Brogdon's done okay, but there's nobody that's coming off the bench that's giving you 13 to 16 points really on a consistent basis. So it sucks.
I'm very disappointed with Fontecchio, man. He's only getting 18 minutes a game. He's shooting a whopping 31% from 3. Along with him and Tobias shooting 17% from 3. That's not going to cut it. Those are 2 guys. You paid them a decent amount of money to be on this team, and they've been in the league long enough to where they got to make an impact for this team, especially to help the young guys. I'm not expecting a lot from Ron Holland. He's played every game, but he's still a raw developmental guy. So guys like Tobias have to step up. Fontecchio coming off the bench, like you said, Tim Hardaway's fine. Look, Cade shooting 37%, Ivy shooting 42.9, Ivy shooting 42.9, Hardaway shooting 47.8, and Beasley shooting 40.7%. So that's good so far with the amount of threes they're taking. But Tobias and Fontecchio got to pick it up, man. If this team wants to get any traction, we can't expect these guys to do it all. Like you said, there's no depth on this team right now, none whatsoever. Can you imagine if Hardaway and Beasley weren't signed?
Yeah.
It's really like Beasley's a great guy off the bench as well. So. He's a guy I think on a real NBA team or a real contender would be a bench guy, 6th, 7th man coming off the bench, not really giving you 30 minutes a game. He's only playing 24, but still. So I think JB's just kind of trying to figure it out. But you got 4 guys really giving you any meaningful playing time. So it's rougher than I thought.
Yeah, they're only playing 4 guys off the bench, but I do want to see them put Sasser in the rotation. Sasser needs more minutes. He's scoring. He can put the ball in the basket. And, obviously you're going to have to play a 5th guy anyway when the Sora comes back, whenever that is. I don't know when it is, but give Sasser more minutes, and we'll see what the timetable is for a Sora. Cade, stop turning the ball over so much. Tobias, like you said, Fontecchio, step up, and they can get this thing turned around a little bit.
One more question, because you guys know how I feel about this, but Are you guys finally with me with the Beef Stew's done? He needs to go. Have you hit that breaking point like I have? Or
the thing for me with Beef Stew is that you don't expect him to come off the bench and obviously score a bunch of points. He's a defensive guy. He's a rebound guy, and kind of just like that, Mauler type. He is a smaller size center. Now that being said, I would keep him in and maybe try and make him look good enough to be a trade chip later on in the season. But I would also see what you got in Paul Reid. I know Paul Reid's not super, something that you write home about, but they signed him. Everybody says he's got high hopes for being a good rebounder and a good defensive player. So if you have the same thing in Paul Reid and you can trade Isaiah Stewart for something, then I say do it. The bench just doesn't look great. As crazy as it sounds, I would, and you guys know I'm a big advocate for him, but you got to bring someone else in, bring up Klitman, who you got in the 2nd round, and see if maybe he can do something. I know Raaj wants Sasser. I'd give him a chance because what else do you have? But I still don't think that he's going to be anything that's great because coming off the bench as the point guard. He's what a 5. He's like a 5'11", 6 foot point guard. He's not Steph out there, so. it's tough to say. I just don't think that he has, the juice that's really gonna stretch you in these games to really help you win any of these games. But yeah, I would keep Beef Stew in just to kind of make him look good enough to trade. That's my opinion on him.
Okay.
Aaron Judge is 20 strikeouts with 48 at bats.
Brandon Ingram. Yeah, I wanted that to happen last season.
Yeah, but now what are you going to trade for Brandon Ingram when you don't have, you have Tobias Harris playing that spot and you don't have anybody to trade away except for picks, and you barely have those.
Yeah, I kind of think here we don't. Trajan's in a terrible spot right now.
Unless you somehow unless you find a way that Jaden Ivey can become a piece and you can trade away far in the future picks maybe, and then you can have Brandon Ingram run the 3, Tim Hardaway run the 2, Tobias of the 4, Kate at the 1. Obviously, yeah, Raj wanted that to happen last season. I wanted to have that happen last season. It didn't. I think the Pistons were in a weird spot with the whole Monty thing, so they didn't end up doing that, which stinks. I think he would have been a way better option than Tobias, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so yeah, we'll see if the Pistons can break this losing streak at Philly tomorrow at 7:00. We'll see what they do. All right. Let's switch over to college football. So, Adrian, did Michigan salvage their season with that win Saturday against Michigan State?
I think they got some momentum. They kind of stopped the bleeding a little bit. I think it solidifies that they'll at least make a bowl game. It won't be anything sexy or anything really relevant, but it did help. The fact that Sharon Montgomery was able to get a win. But both these teams are not good. They're very bad. Michigan State's just worse. And it just goes to show you the importance of. I talked to you guys about it before. Having a freaking quarterback. Reid knows with his Florida State team. So. It's just stopping the bleeding. Now, Michigan's not having a great season, but they haven't fallen to the complete bottom of the barrel. And it also helps with recruiting and keeping guys locked in. And Sharon's, like I said, learning on the fly. But it was a rivalry. If they're going to win, they have to win this game because it's a rivalry game. So they got to get up and play with some spirit, some fire. They were kind of dead in the water early in that game until they scored that touchdown in the half, and they got that sack, fourth fumble, and then they got the field goal to take the lead. But all in all, it was a good win. We know they're gonna fight, and I don't really care about that. But I think it's a good win. I think they win one more game at least, probably against Northwestern. I think that puts them right there at 6 wins. So nothing short of spectacular. So, but all in all, it's a win which they needed because they lost 2 back-to-back road wins against a Washington team who I don't think Raaj Reid is a good football team as well either. And then Illinois is a solid team, but they went on the road and still haven't won on the road. So I really want to see them win a road game before the season's over with. And Sharon has not done that as of yet.
Yeah, I'm with Adrian. I think it just stopped the bleeding. I think they will be bowl eligible because, again, they do play Northwestern, but they still have a tough schedule. I think they're going to get beat by Oregon, obviously, coming up, and then they're going to lose to Indiana, and they're going to lose to Ohio State. So they'll be, in one of those weirdo bowl games that is on that Friday of the bowl weekend. So, I think that I think a lot of it had to do with Sharon Moore being the better coach in the sense of him being in the situation before. I don't think Jonathan Smith came here or, even Aiden Childs came here understanding how big this rivalry can get. It helps that they were obviously at home, like Michigan's been for every big game that they've had this year. But I think that Jonathan Smith just didn't really know what to expect with this game. I think that the Michigan State looked like the better team in the first quarter, almost the first half. You go into the red zone and you just can't score. You can't, that first drive they go without points, and then they go down and they score in the second one. They miss a field goal. If they score on that and they make the field goal, it's a lot better game than what it was in the final result. That being said, I think Michigan State has a lot of building to do. I think Michigan has a lot of building to do. They definitely need to be in the quarterback talks in the transfer portal, obviously. next season because, granted, they looked, Colston Loveland looked like he was supposed to look finally, but I still don't think any of those quarterbacks, would have helped any much more. So it's just it's a weird time for these two teams and for Michigan State football because I mean I understand that he had to say it because it is part of the rivalry, but the whole like little brother's going to do what little brother's going to do comment really got under my skin because it's like Michigan. It's like it's not only is it old, like Michigan State was never projected to. I mean, after they came to the season, they were projected to win, but it's like Colston, man, like you finally had a good game, but your team has not been good all season. So it's like I get it. You're always going to poke fun at that type of at the rivalry like that, but I just think when both teams are bad, it doesn't make the rivalry any fun. So Michigan played a great game, though. I mean, scoring 24 points is something that I don't think a lot of people expected.
Yeah.
No, I certainly didn't. I certainly didn't. Michigan State misses that field goal to open the game. It just and what does Aiden Child do? Turns the ball over. But kudos to Josiah Stewart, who I think is playing with his hair on fire, and he's elevating himself to extremely high draft pick coming into the NFL draft next year. But I think if Michigan doesn't get it turned around or play better, I've told you guys this. You got to make some changes on that coaching staff because I don't think Sharon should be under the hot seat. He's trying to figure it out. I mean, he's lost his entire team from last year, and they're going to lose 4 to 5 guys that are going to be high draft picks. I mean, Colston Loveland, Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham, Will Johnson, and probably just Josiah Stewart will be high draft picks. So they're gonna have to figure it out. They're have to go to Porter, and it's gonna be tough. But you gotta adapt with college football because it's ever changing. And if you guys watch as much as I have, and this is crazy, but there's no dominant team this year. No team has looked. I thought Texas was the best team in the country, and they've looked shaky with Queen Heroes. Ohio State's $20 million for a team, and they're looking shaky as well. So Oregon, I think, is playing the best football right now, and that's tough because they're coming up here to play, and I don't think it's going to be a pretty game at all this weekend. But
if it was every year we needed a 12-team playoff, it's a perfect year.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you guys seen it. I've been keeping up with it, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But I mean, a man can only dream, and the fact that they might be trying to go for this will make me extremely happy. But Michigan apparently is in on the Bryce Underwood sweepstakes with the NIL package. Apparently, they're putting together an offer, if not the same as LSU's, a little better. I don't think they make it happen, but the fact that they're trying shows me something that you understand the magnitude of where you're at in the state of this program. You need a quarterback to be successful.
Yeah, one of my homies, his son plays with Bryce Underwood, he plays receiver. I was hearing he was saying he wasn't leaning to Michigan because they run the ball too much. They don't pass enough.
I could see that.
So yeah, I think that was one of his gripes. But yeah, if they can reel him in, that'd be a big fish right there for sure.
I mean, I just also think that like if you're Bryce Underwood, like you just said, they run the ball too much, which is true when it was Jim Harbaugh. I don't know if Sharon Moore is going to stick to that script. He's obviously doing it because you have Donovan Edwards and Mullins has been playing well. But if you look at the history and just look at it now, I mean, Kyron Lacey is going off for LSU. You've had, LSU is known basically as like wide receiver U almost for the most part. Some people will say with Chase, Jefferson, Odell, Jarvis Landry, obviously Bama's up there in my opinion. Yeah, there you go. Alabama's up there in my opinion. OSU, but like if he wants to go throw the ball, obviously the wide receiver recruits are also going to say, I'm already choosing LSU, but it's even better that I have Bryce Underwood. So I think it all comes down to next year. Sharon Moore can recruit well and hit the transfer portal right. I think that'll tell you whether you should keep him or not. But if he goes out and kind of has a stinker year in transfer portal and recruiting, then I think, you see what happens after this year and then or after the next year, I'm sorry. And you just say, okay, well, maybe this isn't the guy. Maybe we'll go and figure, we'll go separate ways. But, I mean, you look at teams like, maybe it's probably part of the coaching, but, I love Indiana this year, and they have a quarterback that they've had. I just think it comes down to, are you willing to either pay or try and figure out how to recruit the guy the best? How you're gonna build a team around this star quarterback if you do go and get one? And
real quick before I get off it, because I don't want to go on a tangent, but yeah, like Reid saying, yeah, you got to have the guys there to set them up. Let's say you don't. Let's say Michigan, you get a quarterback like that, you can make some changes offensively, philosophically. You can throw the ball a little more, especially if you get him, because then you can get guys to come and play receiver. They've shown the ability that they've had some receivers who have great NFL potential in the past. Even when Lloyd Carr was there, they were a super balanced offense. They ran the ball a lot, but they had some good receivers during that time with Steve Bresson and Braylon Edwards and Mario Manningham, Adrian Arrington, good tight end play. So I think you can do it, but these coaches now are just so stubborn, man. It drives me nuts. You gotta do what you gotta do to win, and that's survival. It's being survival of the fittest, man. So make the changes. Don't resist the change, because just like Mike Norvell right now, he got an extension. Now he's on the hot seat losing recruits. So you got to keep up with the times, especially college football is ever changing, man.
Absolutely.
The last thing I'll say about it is also a Michigan fan, coming from Florida State fan. If they do go to the transfer portal and they get a guy, hold out expectations for the first couple of games, or at least the first game, because I was semi-excited about the quarterback that I had until I saw him play.
For sure. All right, so Reid, we got undefeated Indiana, 8-0, traveling to East Lansing this Saturday to play MSU at 3:30. Can MSU give Indiana their first loss?
No, absolutely not. This Indiana team, I've been saying now, I'm a 1 year Indiana fan as of right now, because my team's so horrible. I like watching a team that's interesting.
You're allowed to be.
Yeah, right. And so, no, I think Indiana's a juggernaut. And my actual hot take, I don't know if we're ever going to do a segment about it, but my actual hot take is that Indiana is going to be one of the final four teams in the playoff. They'll be playing for a chance to go to the national championship. I think Kurt Signetti has his team behind him. It's kind of like a Dan Campbell effect. He has that great line of when he was at the press conference, "Google me, all I do is win," or somewhere along those lines. I thought it was a great line. I think that he has this team behind his back, and I just think that it's too much of a juggernaut of a team. Their run game is solid. The defense looks great. Their quarterback play has been unreal. I just think Michigan State is as you would say, too wet behind the ears right now with their players. So I think they'll potentially give. You'll probably see it like with the Michigan game, where they'll come out with a small, maybe the first quarter they'll play well, but other than that, I think they're just going to get blown out by this team. It'll be like a Ohio State type game. I also think Indiana is going to probably win the Big Ten. Because Ohio State has not looked good. I think they can give Oregon a run for their money. I think Oregon kind of has been Oregon probably could have lost that OSU game. I think Oregon's kind of been a product of some lucky games, in my opinion. I think Indiana is. I don't know. I just think Indiana is a really good, complete team.
Yeah, I got to look at the rest of Indiana's schedule. Yeah, I got to see the rest of their schedule.
I'll tell you right now. They have they play Michigan, and then they play Michigan State, then they play Michigan at home, and then they go to Ohio State, and then they play Purdue.
I don't think they're gonna run the table. I don't think so.
I think they get undefeated till Ohio State at least. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. That Ohio State team does not scare me like I thought it would this year after watching them.
Okay, guys, this is another coming from a Michigan fan, but I've heard people say this. It feels like that, their team is like a Range Rover or a Ferrari. It looks good. All the parts look sexy. It looks cool. The receiving, the running backs, the secondary, but there's something missing on the defensive line. They got some guys who have star names, but they just have. To me, they haven't produced and they haven't.
Are you talking about Ohio State?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a line as far as Jack Sawyer, JT Tuamau, the linebacker they have Simon is his last name. He's popped, but just that defensive line has just been overall. They haven't even put a first round pick in the draft, and I don't know how long of the defensive line. So Florida State's done it, Michigan's done it, Penn State's done it. So I think that's the most overhyped about the team. But now they have a problem because their left tackle's out for the year, and the guy that came in, he got banged up and he didn't look good. So I think that's a huge problem. And if James Franklin, if it was any time for him to get a signature win, this is the time. I think this Ohio State team can be beat. This is like I think most of these teams in the country can beat. There's no team there's not a 2019 LSU in college football right now. That's the beauty of having a 12-team playoff and the NIL and the portal and all that stuff. So, but James Franklin, no excuses, man. You get this game at home, perfect situation, then you really turn up the pressure on Ryan Day. So, I mean, we'll see, but I think it just depends on if Drew Aller plays or not, because he's probably going to be a game time decision.
Yeah, that pretty much determines the ball game right there, in my opinion. If Aller doesn't play, I don't see the backup going to. Well, actually, no, it's in Penn State. That game's in Penn State. So actually, no. Yeah, actually, no. They could win it even without Aller. The fact that they got it at home, I think that helps them out a lot. So Reid, who you got in that one? Number 4 Ohio State, number 3 Penn State. Ohio State 4-point favorite in that one right now.
What you said? It's at Penn State, or is that Penn? Is that the night game?
No, that game's a noon game. I wish it was a night game.
I think we talked about this. How is that a noon game?
Network television is killing our sport.
Dude, that's such a hard one to predict because I feel like I haven't watched a Penn State game, but I feel like I've watched every Penn State game, if that makes sense. Like I like check the scores, and it's always like Penn State comes into these games like being projected like 23-point favorites in certain games, and then you go look, and it's like they played Bowling Green, and they were down, like 14 points going into the half. So it's like I don't know how to feel about this Penn State team. I also don't know how to feel about this Ohio State team. Like Adrian said, they have all the pieces, but like when they come together, it doesn't like really work out the way you would expect it. I don't like Will Howard as a quarterback. Drew Aller's kind of stepped it up a little bit more than what I thought he was going to be. So yeah, it's so hard to predict, but I don't like Ohio State being 4-point. Is it 4 or 4.5? You said either way. I don't like them being that high. I feel like, that's basically a pick 'em, but if it's at home, I guess I'm going to have to say Ohio State. But they also just struggled against Nebraska, and I think Penn State has a little bit better. I'll say Ohio State because they're at home, but I don't think either one of these.
3.5. Ohio State's 3.5.
And they're only 3.5 because they're at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Axe is Michigan State typically pulls one stunner out of their sleeve, so Act likes MSU in that upset over Indiana.
When they get
they're a year away. They're a year away from really being competitive. I think Jonathan Smith is just getting his feet wet and trying to figure it out.
Yeah. All right, so let's close the college out with Reid's Heisman front runners. Let's close it out with the Heisman front runners.
Yeah, so I had a kind of a strange time making this because again, I try not to follow what like the Vegas odds are because I just think it's dumb because they always have QBs the highest. So
of course,
not much has changed really from the past couple of times we've done this, but there are some new names in here. So I'll obviously start at 5 and then I'll go down. This one might surprise you guys. It might not after what I just said, but I do think a guy that should be in consideration for it, and I'm putting him at 5, is Curtis Rourke from Indiana. He's thrown for 1,900, almost 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, 3 INTs. He leads the NCAA and QBR. He's first in QBR at 91.6. So I think he should have a consideration in there. If you don't want to put him at 5, I'm fine with that. You can put him at 6, put Carson Beck or someone ahead of him. But I think he deserves to be at least a little bit in the talk. But I think
he did miss the last game.
Yeah, exactly. So that does go against him. Maybe he would have a little bit better passing yards and stuff like that. Yeah. But I think that, I was looking at the odds. You have guys like Milroe, Aller, Nussmeier, Dart, and Beck all ahead of him. And I think a lot of those guys, obviously they're playing, some of them are playing a little bit better competition, but I don't think they're playing as well as Rourke is. So I put him at 5. This is a guy that I think
if he beats Michigan State, and Ohio State.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
This is going to be one that Adrian might not agree with. But he has been playing well. He has been playing well, and he's not playing the hardest schedule, so we'll leave it at that. But Cade Klubnik I put him up there at number 4. Dude, he's playing well for Clemson. They've brought him back. His stats are pretty good. So like I mean I can't knock the guy as much as I hate putting another ACC guy and especially Clemson guy up there. I put him at 4. A guy that has fallen out of my list because I think his schedule is still too easy. And maybe, he's one that you could cycle in. But I think Cam Ward, I think he's just been playing too easy of a schedule. Granted, Clemson's playing really easy, so they've had a few harder opponents than Miami has. So Cam Ward's hovering in that like 6th area around there. So he's an honorable mention. At number 3, because again, I don't want to keep putting quarterbacks up here. And to lead it off, because I don't think they all deserve the award. I think Dylan Gabriel, I have at 3. You do have Oregon. I think they're the best team in football. But I'm leaving him at 3 because I think that the 2 guys in front of him, I think you guys know who they are. The 2 guys in front of him, I think, are playing better football all around and helping their teams a lot more than Dylan Gabriel is helping his team. I think you can put a lot of quarterbacks in at Oregon, and they'd be doing the same thing Gabriel is. My next guy, I have Travis Hunter at 2. He's still playing well. He's part of the reason that Colorado is back in the bowl game, along with Sugar, who's also playing well. Horn is playing well there. So I have him at 2. We already know what to say about it. And then I still have Genty at 1. I think Genty, what he's doing, he's still on pace. Granted, it's slowed down a little bit. I think teams are starting to stack the box and play a little smarter, but he still rushed for over 100-plus yards and touchdown in the last game that he played. So I think that he's on the way to break Barry's record. I think he'll have another 200-yard games. I think he's literally the main reason that Boise State would rank. Are they 13, 15, something like that? They're up there. But I think he's the sole reason. I think if you basically put anybody else back there, they probably don't do the same thing he does, in my opinion. So, yeah, it was Rourke, Klubnik, Gabe, Hunter, Genty. And you can see,
interesting list right there. I definitely didn't see the Klubnik thing coming.
Yeah, I'm not mad at the Klubnik thing. My only pushback with the Klubnik thing is Clemson's schedule has been god awful. So every team they've played has been, besides Georgia, that they played as far as is under 500. So that's the
that was like the Miami thing with me with Cam Ward.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean Clemson doesn't. They play Louisville this week, and then they go to. If they Clemson this week, go on the road to Aberdeen, then they finally get a. Hopefully, they can stay undefeated because this is a crazy story in college football. But Pitt's 7-0 right now, so they could potentially be playing at an undefeated Pitt. So that'll be a marquee win for them. So, and what's crazy is the top 3 teams in the ACC don't play each other this year at all, unless it's the ACC championship, which is Clemson, Miami, Clemson, and the surprise team SMU. So
SMU's been pretty good. They're ranked as well.
Yeah.
Here goes David with the Drew Aller stuff again. Yeah, I mean, I told you, I think Drew Aller has I got to look up his stats because I haven't looked him up in a while. But I mean, I think he's played better than expected, but I just don't think that he's as good as some of the other quarterbacks that are up there. And not for top 5. I mean, you can put him in the Heisman talk, but yeah, I mean, Drew Aller is 1,600 yards, 12 touchdowns, 4 INTs, and he's 10th in QBR. A guy
he got hurt that Wisconsin game, and then if he doesn't play this Ohio State game, it's going to really hurt him.
Like a guy like Klubnik has 1,800 yards, 20 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and he's 5th in QBR. I mean, then you can go to Cam Ward. He's got all better stats. Jackson Dart has better stats than Drew Aller. Dylan Gabriel, obviously. Carson Beck. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are ahead of him if you look at it stat-wise. And, again, a guy like Drew Aller probably won't be in there because he's not a top quarterback in college football. And you look at these other guys that – I mean, he potentially is, but he's not right now. And there's other guys that are ahead of him that are playing a lot better in bigger programs with harder schedules. Well, not bigger programs, harder schedules.
And Penn State's running the football. They got a 2-headed monster at running back, Katron Allen and Robinson. So the focus of their offense is running the ball, not Aller throwing the ball 40, 50 times.
They're trying to pull like a Michigan of last year. They're trying to run the ball a lot and have Drew Aller play the J.J. McCarthy role when he has to, like throw the ball when he has to. But if you don't have to make him throw the ball, then he won't throw it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. All right, well, yeah, switch over to the NFL, man. So we seen the Lions roll the Titans. They got a important divisional game this Saturday. I mean, not Saturday, excuse me, this Sunday against the Green Bay. So Reid, where you at with the Lions? What's the state of the Lions?
The state of the Lions is I hope that I hope that I see them sign a defensive end or edge rusher or outside linebacker or someone that can get to the quarterback because, I mean, they had one sack on Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph, you had one sack, and it was on a blown up play from Alex Anzalone who happened to sneak through. But yeah, I mean, there was a few times where they got to him, but I mean, he's able to get rid of the ball fast enough. It's just I don't know. There's too many there's too many or not what ifs, but there's too many like chances for the offense when there's no pass rush. So I need to see them get a pass rush. But that being said, the offense is unstoppable. I've never seen one a Lions offense like this, and two an NFL team's offense, play this well in my lifetime. At least score this many points. I think they said they have 186 points in the last 3 games total, something like that. Or maybe it's been all season. I don't remember what the stat line was that I read, but yeah, I mean, I think that the offense is humming on all cylinders as long as the O-line stays healthy. My guy Christian Mahogany, who they drafted out of BC, who I really liked as their last pick in the draft last year, is finally healthy off the injured reserve. So I'm hoping that he gets some practice time. I like the Owasco. I call him ayahuasca, but the other backup they have for when Glasgow went out, I liked him. But yeah, I think the team looks great. Gibbs is looking like he's better than Bijan almost at this point. I mean, the way he's running the ball is unreal. And that's not taking anything away from Bijan, but Gibbs has just been running with his hair on fire. Monty continues to do what he does. As long as we get this JMO thing figured out, I mean, I like the way this team looks. Just get that edge rusher, and I think you have a clear path to the Super Bowl because the NFC is pretty weak right now.
I mean, yeah, the Lions are looking good right now. This is a more than fair shot to go for it. I mean, the Super Bowl window doesn't stay open as long as people think it is, and it's hot right now. Like Reid said, the offense is playing lights out right now. They can't do anything wrong right now. The 1-2 headed punch of Montgomery and Gibbs is phenomenal. 92 and 93 carries respectively. You talk about Ben Johnson being able to split the carries up and get these guys the ball is phenomenal. Jared Goff is an MVP candidate right now. You have 6 guys with over 100, 7 guys with over 100 receiving yards in the season. 6 different guys with a touchdown reception. They're just cooking on cylinders. The offensive line is playing well. I can't complain about the offense, but like Reid said, defense, you got to go address and get a pass rusher. I thought about Uche. He's gone. He's out of there. Zadarius Smith is still out there. Harold Landry that the Lions just played.
They should have never let him get back on the plane. They should have kept him there that night. They should have that Sunday. You should have said, "No, Harold, you're staying here. We have your room already ready. You're staying here." They should not have let him walk. I think he'd be a great guy. You still need to go get a different guy, another guy, but I still think Landry would be a great ad.
DC says, which edge rusher seems realistic for us to get?
I would say Zadarius Smith will be number 1 on my list from the Cleveland Browns. You gotta go get somebody. It doesn't have to be a superstar because I don't think they're gonna get a superstar. Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes love to get guys that fit the culture. So I think the Lions are very strategic about it, but you gotta make some kind of move. Something. I don't care what you do, but make some kind of splash. You can't expect James Houston to be out there for 50 snaps a game. He hasn't shown the capability to do this for his entire career. So you need to do something, Brad Holmes. You got a week left.
Who's realistic?
You got to make a move because the Chiefs added Hopkins, they added Uche, they're loading up. If the Chiefs and the Lions run this collision course that Reid predicted before the season, you got to load up.
I'm not scared of DeAndre Hopkins. He has not looked good in a long time. So I'm not, and he hasn't looked good since he got
team up with Mahomes could work his magic.
He got 2 receptions in the last game. He didn't even look good. He wasn't getting open. He wasn't getting separation. He didn't look great. I give him time because he's got to learn the playbook. He was there for a week. I'll give him time. Let's see how he looks in the playoffs. Yeah, I'll give him. Well, let's see how he looks in the next 2 weeks because there's a lot of time for the playoffs, and if he's even going to be healthy for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Why not give the Cowboys a call? Maybe see if they're willing to give up DeMarcus Lawrence. I don't know. I'm just his name.
I think that's a little far fetched because Jerry is such a fickle owner. I think a guy who's realistic that people have now forgot about. I think Trey Hendrickson is still a great pick for you to get. He's 29 years old. He wanted out of Cincinnati at the end of last year. Cincinnati stinks. They just lost again last week. You call him up. He's familiar with Dan Campbell. He's familiar with Aaron Glenn. He probably fit your scheme just like you want him to. I would say call him up, and he played next to DJ Reader, who'd be playing next to again, who's now on your team. I think he had 17 sacks or something last season, close to that. Damn near. I know Adrian could probably fact check me on that, but he had double-digit sacks last year playing. He had that big play. Was that 2 years ago when the Bengals had that fumble? He returned it for 99 yards or whatever it was. Like, I think Trey Hendrickson would be great to grab. And then you get Hutch back next year, and then you have both of those guys on the line. You give them a 2-year deal. I still say draft a guy in the first round, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, you call and you say, Cincy, hey, we'll give you our second round pick next year and send Trey Hendrickson our way. And if they say we don't want that, if they say we want more compensation, I say okay, 2nd and a 4, or I'd be willing to. I mean, hopefully you would hope that your 1 is going to be 32. I mean, if you give them your first round pick, it's going to be low regardless. It's going to be anywhere from 20, like past 29 to 32. So, yeah, I would. Trey Hendrickson, I think, is one name to look at. Zarius Smith. I still think Ojolari from the Giants.
I got a guy like Jonathan Franklin Myers from Denver.
Yeah,
but they're winning now, so I kind of think that Denver's not going to be willing to make that move.
They're winning now.
Even
like defense is still too good.
Yeah, even like a guy like Michael Clemens from the Jets, maybe the Jets be willing to move up the pass rush. He doesn't have that much money to give. He gave him like 5 sacks. Something you got to get something with some productivity. I wish they would have went and got Bosa or Khalil Mack last offseason. I think that would have worked well. Those guys, I definitely feel like Khalil Mack would fit that culture in Detroit.
Khalil Mack would have been better than Bosa. This one, Bosa's hurt again, isn't he?
Yeah,
that's the only reason.
Khalil Mack, I think, would have been a perfect fit. He would have been a perfect line, I think. He's working well in that Jim Harbaugh.
Man, I'd hit up Aaron Donald, man. Look, man, how much you want, man? We just need you 1 year. 1 year. That's it. 1 year rental, man. How much? Here go the blank check.
Let's see. Yeah, but the only problem with Aaron Donald is he's an interior guy. I mean, I guess you could bring him in on certain plays, but I mean, you have a Leam and you have Reader, so he's an interior guy, so it'd be harder to. I mean, I'd still do it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
David
says Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah, but Suh's just a little bit old. Again, he's an interior guy. Yeah, Trey Hendrickson had 17 and a half sacks last year.
Yeah, I think that
makes the most sense.
That'd be a home run. That'd be a home
right now. So
that makes the most sense. Cincinnati's fizzling out.
Let's see. Let me see who Cincinnati plays this week. They play.
I wanted to.
Cincinnati plays the Raiders this week.
The Raiders. They could potentially lose that one too. The Raiders have been playing well.
Is that in Vegas or Cincy?
That's in Cincy.
I like the Bengals. They got to win that game. You got
the Raiders.
By the way,
now if they lose that game, then I do think they will come off Hendrickson at that point. Then.
By the way, the Vikings lost Christian Bearsall, their starting left tackle,
and they signed
but they just traded for Cam Robinson from
the Jags,
Jaguars. So,
okay, nice move.
I have a quick question for you guys before we go on, but Brian Branch, potential defensive player of the year.
He's in the running. I think T.J. Watt's leading that, but
I mean, it's like an MVP. They give it to the edge guys anyway because of the sacks. But I think I'm a little – I mean, if Brian Branch continues to play the way that he's playing, he's definitely got to be in the conversation. The thing I'm most upset about is that forced fumble that he scooped and went for a touchdown and got called back because the guy's foot was out. It was clearly out, but like –
Yeah, I got you.
I was upset with that. But I did look up his stats earlier because I was talking with some of the guys who are – Ravens fans and Kyle Hamilton fans. Brian Branch has 31 solo tackles. That's tied for 51st. 1 forced fumble, tied for 23rd. 4 interceptions, which is tied for third, and 11 pass defenses for second. And he's second in pass defenses, and that's as a safety too. Normally that's like corner numbers, but he plays all over the field, so I guess it's a little bit different. But as of right now, if he keeps playing like this, I think his name could be up there.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. So, Adrian, there's Jameson Williams recently had some police contact. Can you update us on that? Give us the rundown on that situation.
Well, let me put it up for you real quick. Well, there was, I guess, originally October 8th, or after midnight, he was pulled over, him and his brother, for speeding, I believe, and the cop, the Jameson Williams' brother, was driving the car, if I'm saying this correctly.
Yeah.
And his brother, there was a car, a gun in the backseat, which was registered to Jameson's brother, which he has a CPL, like, and then the cop ended up finding a gun under Jameson's seat, but that gun was not registered, Reid, or was it?
No, it was registered to JMO. He
registered.
just didn't have a CPL with the gun that was hidden under the seat.
So the cop was going to take them into custody as Jameson, and then the supervisor came and pretty much stopped it. Correct?
Yeah, he was.
Right?
The supervisor came to the scene because they generally do that apparently with high profile individuals, is what they said in the thing, so it doesn't garner media attention. And the supervisor came, and he's a big Lions fan apparently, which what I guarantee you, there's a lot of cops that are big Lions fans. And he knew that it was Jameson Williams, and he made a bunch of calls to other people to try and get him out of the situation, which inevitably it did work. But they're releasing or they're investigating his body cam footage now, I think, to get the full story behind it. Yeah, so to get a full story behind it from the sergeant who did make the call.
His name is Michael. The Detroit Police Commander Michael McGinnis told the Channel 7, which is our local affiliate here in Detroit, whoever is not from here, but he said, I felt there was probable cause to arrest, and he was under arrest by the patrol officer. And because of that, he should have been conveyed to the Detroit Detention Center and processed.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is illegal to have a gun concealed when you don't have your CPL. Why JMO? Maybe he thought he would get away with it, hiding it under the seat, and the cops wouldn't look for it. Maybe they saw, his brother said, I have one in the back seat. Whatever. Maybe they thought they could somehow get away with it. Hiding it in the seat is probably not, the best idea. Speeding while you have guns in the middle of Detroit probably isn't the best idea, especially if you're going to be out late at night. And I get it. JMO was quoted, he's saying, I live in Detroit. I keep it for protection. That's fine, but go through the right channels and be proper with your gun safety and get your licenses if you're going to want to conceal it or you're going to want to keep it in your car. I mean, he's known for having this type of stuff happen where he's just kind of been careless. And I mean, you get it. He's a young kid. But maybe you got to shrink your circle or something and really not be hanging out, or I don't know, go live with St. Brown, or like go live with like one of these guys that aren't getting in all this trouble. And I get it. You want to kind of be for the city and have the city embrace you. We all have. We love JMO. Everybody loves JMO on the team. There's fans. He's got to figure out some way or have some sort of constituent that like his agent should be better. His agent should somehow be like, come on, man, let's get this like figured out. Why are we doing this all the time?
Yeah, I hate to see him. He's such a talented player, and even just off the field, just trying to get
like a nice, fun kid off the field. Like he looks like he's
I think it's one of those things too where he feels like he owes his friends and family back home from where he's from that they need to feel included. Man, it's just football, man. You're trying to make your money. You're trying to win a championship. You're trying to get a second contract. You're trying to be successful, man. Focus on the important things, man. And it's tough. I see a lot of athletes go through it where they can't say no, and you got to say no. You don't put yourself in those positions. Like my dad always tells me, I want to say his name on the show, but always tells me, hey, nothing good happens after 12 o'clock, especially your athlete. It's on a Tuesday. What are you doing on a Tuesday? Like, JMO, it's the middle of the season, man. Let's focus. Let's focus, man. Yeah, let's focus, man. And if you're gonna drive at night, don't be speeding with guns in the car. Come on, just these things just
Well,
got to.
well,
I know he's like you
his
say,
brother was driving, correct?
Yeah, but
yeah,
still, I mean, you can say, hey, I'm, you know who I am. You're my brother. You know who I am. Like, you want to keep having like nice things. Like, let's not be. I mean, or the brother should have been like, no, man, I don't want to speed. Like, you have a very bright future ahead of you. You guys can go win a Super Bowl. Like, maybe we shouldn't be, speeding it, after midnight, like Adrian said. I just think I think you somehow got to find some way of somebody that like can be around you, be like, hey man, let's like, you want your family to have nice things, and you want to like give stuff to your family and friends when you made it and you have all this money. Let's get the second contract. Let's get paid more money and have all this. Let's not lose it all. I mean, we've seen Lions before. We've seen players before. Look at his former team, Jameis's former teammate, Henry Ruggs. What happened to him from speeding and all that? I mean, you get all these Georgia players, and then we know for it from Lions fans as Charles Rogers did not have a great. He was supposed to be a high praise athlete coming from Michigan State, and he didn't have a great career in the NFL because he got into too much trouble. So it's just I don't know. You just need someone that he somehow needs to figure out how to just stay out of trouble. I mean, whatever this PED stuff happened, I don't even know what it was. I don't think they've even released what he got suspended for, which is dumb. But like, you just like, this obviously happened before that, but like, you just got suspended for the PEDs. Like, you may or may not have known what you were taking. You got to be more conscientious of what's going on if you're a professional athlete.
I agree. Like, you just got it.
For Troy Hendrickson?
I'd rather give up the 20. I'd rather give up the first round pick that we have.
Yeah, for him, I'm just saying, be aware. Like you said, he was coming into the league already coming off the ACL. Then even I don't agree with him getting the gambling.
The gambling one.
It was stupid, but you just got to be more aware. Just be self-aware of these kind of small little things. And then he was hitting the corner this year, and then he gets this stupid suspension for these low-level PDs, whatever it is, and now put yourself in a position. Nothing might not even come of this, but just having your name in the news right now, especially with you, he's already in his third year, right? That fourth year is coming up quick, and then that the Lions can exercise that fifth-year option. And National Football League in sports, it comes quick, so you gotta keep your head on straight and just stay out the spotlight for a minute and just focus, man. So you do not hurt your rep, man. I want to see him do better. Just stay low. Just stay low.
Me and Adrian had such high hopes for you. Come on, get it together.
Yeah. The ball's in J-Mo's court at this point because we all see that they're going to take care of you if you do your part. They took care of St. Brown, Goff, Penei Sewell, McNeil, all these guys. You're going to get your money. Just if you as long as you do your part, they show that you're worth it. They'll give it to you. So the ball's in J-Mo's court. So we got to see how it unfolds for him.
Right now, it's looking like that fifth-year option might not even be available. Might not even hit that fifth-year option for his rookie contract.
Yeah. And that fifth-year option comes right up with the 2027 draft class, which includes like Nick Marsh, Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams. So J-Mo better.
A lot of good wide receivers out of there.
Yeah, you gotta figure it out. I'm pulling for you, J-Mo.
The Lions could all a next draft is crazy too. You have Kyron Lacy, you have Trey Harris, you have oh gosh, there's so many names out there, but you have so many big like seniors coming out next year.
Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah, Emeka Egbuka is going to be coming out next year. Like Burden's going to be out next year. Like, you got to be careful too, because that your position, the next guy's going to come in and he's going to be the next St. Brown, where he's just going to be, just focusing on football, not focusing on going to Coney Islands at 2:00 in the morning on 6 Mile, which is probably not a great place to be at that time, I would assume. Yeah. So we'll see how the J-Mo situation unravels. He'll be back from his suspension following the Green Bay game. So Adrian, your Steelers, they're 6-2. They move into first place in the AFC North. Big win over the Giants last night. So where you at with your state of the Steelers? Y'all are on a 3-game win streak, but those 3 wins are against the Raiders, Jets, and Giants. But you guys are in first place. Hey, the Jets are nothing to scoff at. That defense is good. The offense is just bad.
Well, which makes me even more reason why we should only have 1 loss, because we should not have lost to the Cowboys. But that's that's neither here nor there. So I'll give them a pass on a loss you should win. But the last couple years they would lose games that they should win. Like they lost to the Patriots and Cardinals back to back one year when Mitchell Trubisky started quarterback. Nothing made me mad. But as far as we are currently, I am loving what I'm seeing from Russell Wilson. He's coming and he has this gave this energy and a boost to the offense, especially as far as passing wise. Najee Harris not getting the credit he deserves. 3 straight 100-yard games. He looks like he's been shot out of a cannon since
He's finally
that
playing
Raiders
like the
game.
Najee Harris I drafted in fantasy.
Yeah, he's looking good. But I just think it goes to show you that Russ is the veteran play. He's doing exactly what the Steelers and what Arthur Smith want him to do. 400 yards of total offense in the Matt Canada era after Big Ben retired. That was tough to say. I like what I'm seeing. My big expectation from this team, and you guys haven't heard me say this, and honestly, for me, for this to be a successful season, for me to be completely happy, this is not a Super Bowl team. I don't think I still think we're another year away. But I do expect for them to have a successful season to get not only get in the playoffs because people already bashed Tomlin and we haven't won a playoff game in a long time since 2016. But if they can at least get in the playoffs and win one playoff game, that's a successful season for me. So Russell Wilson's throwing the ball down the field, Raaj and Reid throwing the ball down the field. That dime he threw.
Yankees grand slam, sorry.
Oh, shoot. That dime he threw to Calvin Austin on the corner route, beautiful. He threw a beautiful ball to Scotty Miller, just missed it. Threw one to Van Jefferson, came back for the ball. Has beautiful touch on the passes. Got to get better on the red zone offense though. Last night was terrible in the red zone offense. Three times we got down there and kicked 3 field goals. Although they did negate the George Pickens 2 touchdowns. Don't agree with the second one where he double tapped the foot. These rules, man, with the touchdowns and what's a catch, what's not a catch, what's a touchdown, what's not is very obscure. The NFL likes to change these rules whenever they want to, but I won't get into that. That's a different story. I'm going to tangent, but all in all, they put themselves in position. I said that they needed to be 6-2 before the season started for them to be in contention to make the playoffs, and they are right exactly where you want to be right now, and that is perfect. This was the easy part of their schedule on paper, exactly. But now with the fact that Cleveland's falling off a cliff, Cincinnati doesn't look as powerful, so that definitely helps. The Ravens, I know, they're not looking good, but that offense has firepower. They just added Deontay Johnson, former Pittsburgh Steelers, but that defense looks shaky. So the schedule looks a lot more manageable, and they got to bye at the perfect time. I know they're coming out against the Commanders team out of the bye week, but so far so good. I think they're right on track to be where I thought they would be at the season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to pump the Russell Wilson tires because I think he's played fine, but I think he's playing like you expect. I think he's playing like Denver. I think he's playing like Denver, Russell Wilson. I honestly don't think that if you swapped out Justin Fields with Russell Wilson, I still think they win these last 3 games because I just think that the passing game just doesn't look as good at it. But Justin Fields was running the ball great. Najee was still running the ball great with him. I think it's just more rushing touchdowns as opposed to passing touchdowns. So whatever one you value more, then you start that guy. Obviously, Russell Wilson is what they valued more. He brings that veteran presence. It keeps George Pickens happy, which you absolutely need to do. Calvin Austin, you probably want to keep him around and feel he's okay. He can be solid in a good passing game. I don't think Russ is the future by any means. I think Fields should definitely learn from him and use it because he has very similar ability. He could just be a taller Russell Wilson. But yeah, I think moving forward, I think he does give you a little bit better opportunity because when you do face teams that are good against the run and they close down Najee, it gives you a chance to actually open up Pickens, which Fields wasn't doing to the best of his ability. But yeah, I think that he's brought new life to this team, like Adrian said. I want to know what's going on with Roman Wilson. He's been a no-show, and I don't think any Steelers fan really knows what's going on with him. I haven't really researched into it, but he's played like 3 snaps or something, right?
Yeah, him having that injury early I feel slowed a lot of his momentum down.
And as we all know, it's tough. It's a little tougher for rookie receivers to kind of get to the league and be super dominant as it is. And he's a smaller guy. He's not a Marvin Harrison, obviously, because Marvin's struggled a little bit. It's been a mixed bag as far as receivers trying to figure it out. But like Raaj said, him hurting his high ankle sprain during training camp, and he was off to a great start, putting him behind. And Mike Tomlin's an old school coach. He says he's got to figure out a way to get on a moving train. Then he gets hurts his hamstring. So it's just been one injury after another, and then you're trying to catch on to a team who has a lot of veterans. I think this is almost maybe like a redshirt year for Roman. Hopefully he can figure it out, but especially Van Jefferson starting to play better. Although I'm not saying Van Jefferson is a savior, but Russell Wilson's finding a way to get all the receivers involved, and maybe they have unlocked something with Calvin Austin. He's looked better as the season's gone on. He's been explosive in special teams. He's looked good in the slot. So I just think it's one of those years Roman's gonna have to figure it out, man. It's not gonna be easy if he wants to get on the field, but it's been a little weird. But I think the injuries also haven't helped him. So I did expect a lot more, but it's from him this season. But I'm not gonna hit the panic button just yet. But I am a little worried about that.
Yeah, I don't think. Last thing I'll say is I think the Steelers will definitely be second in that division because obviously the Ravens are a pretty solid team. I think the Browns can be a decent team with Jameis. He looked pretty good last week, but I definitely think it's the Steelers. They'll take that playoff spot if it comes down to it. Obviously, Cincinnati's not great, and Cleveland is kind of a dumpster fire. But at least Jameis gives them a chance to win. But I think that's the Steelers and the Ravens in that division right now.
It's just weird because I thought on paper we come into the season we all thought the AFC was a much above and better than the NFC, but now as the season is progressing and the things you're starting to see, the NFC is a lot deeper than the AFC right now, and I didn't think that was the case coming into the season.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Steelers coming out their bye week at the Commanders, Ravens at home, at the Browns, then at the Bengals. So if they're real there, we're gonna see it coming out this bye week. This stuff's about to get real. All right, so let's close it out with Adrian's top fives list. Let's close it out with Adrian's current top 5 NFL teams. Let's hear it.
This was. I'm gonna go 5-1. This was tough, guys. This was tough for me. This bottom half, but I'm gonna give you my three out. So I'm gonna give you a top 8. I'm gonna give you 3 teams I left out who were in consideration. But at number 8, I'm gonna go with the Baltimore Ravens. These last couple weeks, I know they won against Tampa a few weeks ago. But this defense is banged up. They're not looking great on offense. On defense. Number 7. You know what? I'm gonna flip this. So I'm gonna take Baltimore at 7 and I'm gonna have the Houston Texans at 8. The Diggs injury, the offense hasn't looked great. I know they beat the Colts, but there's something missing right now in the offense, and they haven't clicked. Also, CJ Stroud a couple weeks ago didn't even throw for 100 yards against the Green Bay Packers. A coach team with Anthony Richardson. Yeah, lost Diggs. Nico Collins is still out. They got to figure it out. They're still a contender, but there's just something missing right now with the offense. At number 6, I'm going to go with my Pittsburgh Steelers. So everybody doesn't think I'm a homer. I don't even have them in the top 5 yet. I like where they're at. I need to see a little more from Russell Wilson, but so far so good. The defense has been great. We got Highsmith back, guys. I'm telling you, that has been the major key for this defense. Getting Highsmith back. We're probably going to get Herbig back after the bye. But looking good so far. At number 5, the Philadelphia Eagles. These last couple weeks, they got off to a slow start, but they blew the Giants out like they're supposed to, and they dismantled the Cincinnati Bengals on the road. So Jalen Hurts got his receivers back, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Saquon's on a mission this year, trying to go get that rushing title from Derrick Henry. He's looking good. Defense is playing a lot better. Pass rush is starting to pick up. Number 4, the Buffalo Bills, especially Keon Coleman. Reid's boys coming along these last few weeks. He's starting to finally pick it up, catch his stride. We talked about wide receivers taking a little time. He took a little time with Josh Allen and starting to trust him more and more as the week goes on. Amari Cooper addition helps. James Cook, Ray Davis running the football. The defense is getting better with Russo, Ed Oliver. Just a good, solid team. Josh Allen does not have to carry this team and play Superman like he's had to over the last few years, and I think that helps, and especially coming in a situation where he needs to win games. They don't have to put everything on him the entire game. But this Buffalo Bills team, I think, is a lot better. Number 3, the Lions' hated foe, the Green Bay Packers. I know Jordan Love left the game. He was banged up through that game, injured, but the Packers defense is playing well. Josh Jacobs, The Raiders, I'm telling you, they're probably sick right now that they didn't re-sign Josh Jacobs. I believe he's third in the league in rushing right now. Even caught his first career receiving touchdown last week. They're playing well. They're a perennial contender, I believe, in the NFC and to win the Super Bowl. Jordan Love, I don't know if he's gonna be out, guys. I know he's got a growing strain, but I'm gonna guess that he's out. They go to Malik Willis. I think they'll be just fine. The offense is operating. Florida knows what he's doing. And number two, this is the first time I've moved them down the entire season, but that is the Kansas City Chiefs. They're defeated, but the offense is still struggling, trying to find its ways. I know they just added D Hop. Kelsey finally got his first touchdown of the season. About time.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt's actually come off the street and played well. I just think they've got to get a little more firepower. Defense is playing well. I'm gonna move them down to 2, even though they're undefeated. And then at number 1, I believe they're playing the best football in the NFL right now. Things could change as the season goes on, but I think they're a perennial Super Bowl contender, and if this could be their year. But that is our hometown, Detroit Lions, sitting at 6-1, man. So off to a great start. Like I talked about earlier, the combination of Gibbs, Montgomery, Jamison Williams, Sam Laporta, Khalif Raymond finally coming alive, especially in special teams. St. Brown, I could keep going. Tim Patrick's played well for them. Offensive line is great. Secondary is great. Just need to figure out if they're going to add some pass rushing. But this team is playing elite football. Jared Goff, MVP candidate. That's the Detroit Lions. Best team in the NFL right now, if you ask me. And there you have it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good list. I would probably put the Packers behind the Bills. I just think that the Packers have had some lackluster games. The Bills have had a few lackluster ones, but I still think the Bills have come to their own. I think their defense is still amazing. I think Josh Allen, gives them a different dynamic. If Jordan Love does play, I mean, I will be a little bit worried, but he has been playing a little shaky since he's started this year. He had a few good games in the beginning, but he's thrown a lot of picks. So I'm not really worried about that. I mean, the edge rushing for the Lions would be tough if we don't get a guy to try and get pressure on him. If Malik Willis is playing, I'm going to tell you I'd be a lot happier than Jordan Love because he doesn't scare me. He did look great when he played those 2 games, but I don't think it was against the best competition when he played. I think it was the Titans and
Colts.
Yeah, Titans and Colts. So at the time, the Colts defense, I mean, they're still really bad, but they're not. Those weren't world beaters, and you saw what the Lions just did to the Titans. So I don't know why I'm more confident in this team than I've ever been. Obviously, I'm confident because they just put it back-to-back, 3 weeks, but they had a bye week, back-to-back 50-point games against Dallas and Tennessee. And Tennessee's defense was really good. I think coming into the season, they only allowed I think it was 4 rushing touchdowns to opposing teams. And then the Lions just ran all over them and scored, I think, 3 rushing touchdowns in that game. So, I like the list. Kansas City, obviously, you moved back because the Lions are playing so hot. I don't think that's even you being, from Detroit because you're clearly a Steelers fan. I think the Chiefs have played consistent. I think their defense has brought them has kept them in a lot of games as opposed to, Patrick Mahomes' magic. He is not playing his best football. I think we can all agree on that. But yeah, I think the list is good. I did bring up Josh Jacobs is 4th in rushing. A guy that I like to bring up is Jahmyr Gibbs, who is down at, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's 7th behind Najee Harris. No other player in the top until you get to Lamar Jackson, this is the top rushing leaders. And Lamar Jackson is 10, 11, 12, 13. Lamar Jackson's 14th down on the list. Jahmyr Gibbs has 11 more rushing attempts than Lamar Jackson. He's at 591 yards. That's 1 yard short of Najee Harris and 2 yards short of Chuba Hubbard. Derrick Henry leads it with 145 attempts, and Jahmyr Gibbs has 92. So if you imagine how many attempts if he would have 140 or 130 attempts, I wonder how many rushing yards Jahmyr Gibbs would have because he has been unstoppable recently. But Jordan Mason's 3rd, Josh Jacobs is 4th, Saquon 2nd, Henry 1st.
I think the great part too about the Lions being able to have 2 great running backs is the fact that you don't establish wear and tear on them throughout the season. You give them both equally amount of rest. So when it's time for the playoffs, if Montgomery has the hot hand, you feed him 25 times if you got to in a certain game, if a certain matchup applies, or vice versa. If you got to get Gibbs more flexed out of our receiver spot, put him in orbit motion, get him. You might have to have a playoff game where he has 7 catches for 85 yards. I don't know. It's liking the things Ben Johnson's doing right now, and I think they're just locked in offensively right now. And then the only reason I have the Packers above the Buffalo Bills is I believe the Packers defense is slightly better than Buffalo's, and I think that will keep them in. But we're gonna see a lot. We're gonna see a lot in Lambeau this weekend. See how this Packers defense matches up with the Detroit Lions.
Is Von Miller still suspended? I haven't even looked into that. I haven't watched
Yes, I believe. Yes, I believe so. I think he got.
Was it 6 games? Is that what it was?
I think he got 6 games.
The one thing I would say, I mean, I was no, his was like a domestic thing, wasn't it? The one thing I will say,
it was from an incident last year or not too long ago with his girlfriend. Something like some of those lines.
the one thing I will say about Gibbs. Oh, go ahead.
He got a 4-game suspension on. That was October 1st. So that would let me double check to see how.
So he should be back probably after he should be back probably after this week, I would assume.
Yeah.
But the thing about Jahmyr Gibbs, and I like when they drafted him because I liked him at Alabama. He's 10 times better than I thought he was going to be. That dude, once he hits a hole, like his acceleration. I mean, we know Jamo's fast, but I think when it comes to straight acceleration, I bet you Gibbs is probably faster straight acceleration. And I would also like to take credit for this. A lot of people were doing the Michael Myers, Ashton Genty meme of how he stands in the backfield just kind of upright. And nobody realized that Jahmyr Gibbs has been doing that since he got into the league. He always stands upright. And now finally people are starting to make Michael Myers memes about Jahmyr Gibbs because he's just crushing it. He crushed it last season, but he's going to – I think he'll rush, knock on wood. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to rush for clear over 1,000 yards.
Von Miller should be back this week against the Dolphins because he got suspended. That was the first. And after that, they played the Texans, which Sean McDermott lost them that game, but I'll leave that here. The Jets, the Titans, they just beat the Seahawks. Now they're home against the Bills at 1:00 on Sunday. So he should be back for that game.
I want to ask you guys this question really quick. Well, Raj, you want to react to the top 5, and then I'll ask the question.
No, go ahead.
So I think it's pretty evident. I think it should be, evident. I think if the Bills don't make it to the AFC Championship game and possibly the Super Bowl, I think that Sean McDermott should be fired, or at least on the hot seat. Hot seat is an understatement, but if he doesn't make it to the AFC Championship game, I think McDermott should be out of it.
Oh, I agree. Oh, guys,
maybe Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson ends up there.
Ben Johnson with Josh Allen would be gross. That'd be such a crazy combo.
Do you want to go to Buffalo though?
I don't know. He almost went to Chicago. I said.
All right, Von Miller, real quick, so I can clarify this for the people and for us because I can't remember. Von Miller's suspension stems from allegations that he assaulted his pregnant girlfriend in November 2023 during the Bills' bye week in suburban Dallas. This was a tweet from Adam Schefter on October 1st. So this ain't from me, people. It's from Adam Schefter. So.
Yeah. No, I remember. Yeah, I remember that. I just remember he had a crazy game and then the suspension dropped.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, Reid, World Series update before we get up out of here.
Still 5-2, bottom of the 4th. Juan Soto's up to bat. They take the first pitch, strike. I think the Dodgers.
Are Yankees up or the Dodgers are up?
The Yankees are up 5-2 because they hit a grand slam.
Who hit a grand slam for the Yankees?
Oh crap! I don't remember the guy's name. Number 11. It was their shortstop.
Oh, Anthony Volpe.
Yeah,
Volpe.
Yeah, it was him. I saw something that said Aaron Judge is batting 140 in the postseason. It's not great.
Terrible.
But obviously the Dodgers have a chance to sweep if they win tonight. I think it might go to Game 5 and they'll probably win it in LA. Because the next three games would be in LA. So
yeah, it seemed like LA got it. It seemed like they winning right now, man. They got it with Kendrick. That Ice Cube performance that was that Game 2.
Yeah,
Ice Cube Ice Cube did his thing. I see they brought Fat Joe out at Yankee Stadium yesterday. That was I'm gonna have to get that one to the West Coast. I'm gonna have to get that
Yeah,
one
I didn't see it, but I heard it was bad.
Yeah. I gotta get that one to Cube. West Coast still up. West Coast still up. All right, well, yeah, anything else you want to add before we get up out of here?
No. Be a big one for Michigan, and Reid's might buy an Indiana jersey to wear to the tailgate this week, and I am going to Michigan State tailgate, so I might show up in an Indiana jersey as opposed to a Michigan State jersey.
Okay.
It's gonna be cold. It's gonna be cold.
It's supposed to be cold Saturday.
High of 58, low of 36. What time is the game? Is this
3:30? Yeah, I'd be warm. 3:30.
Michigan and State play at the same time on Saturday.
I'm gonna wear I'll wear my insulated bibs and put on a sweatshirt. I'll be okay. I have a few adult beverages for warmth.
I'll be at a wedding, unfortunately, so I'll be phone checking. So excuse, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Well, yeah, good stuff, fellas. Sports update. Make sure
tell the kids I said happy Halloween, fellas. Tell the kids, Uncle Adrian said happy Halloween. Appreciate it.
Got you. All right, everybody, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all like the video. Sports update. We'll see you guys next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Peace.